It was a quiet night at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. The usual hum of computers and the soft chatter of scientists was interrupted only by the occasional clatter of keyboards. A palpable tension filled the air as the staff worked diligently on a project that had garnered immense interest from the world, an unexplained phenomenon on the moon's surface. Dr. Evelyn Carter, an astrobiologist with a reputation for her meticulous nature and groundbreaking research, stared intently at her monitor. She had been analysing data from the latest lunar scans when a sudden blip appeared on her screen. It was an anomaly, a strikingly unusual reading that seemed to emerge from the far side of the moon. Her heart raced as she magnified the image, revealing a bright flash that had not been there before. An impact, possibly. "Dr. Carter, come look at this," called her colleague, Tom Anders, a seasoned astrophysicist who had spent years observing celestial events. His voice cut through the tension like a knife. Evelyn quickly walked over to Tom's workstation. The screen displayed a series of images from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter taken mere hours before. One image showed the moon's serene surface dotted with craters and ancient dust. But in the next frame, the landscape was altered. A fresh, gaping hole marred the surface, the edges still glowing with residual heat. "Did something just hit the moon?" Evelyn asked, her voice trembling slightly. Tom nodded, his brow furrowing. "It's unprecedented. We need to alert the team. This could be a significant discovery." As the two began gathering the data, a sense of foreboding crept over them. What could have caused such an impact? They had seen meteoroid strikes before, but this felt different, almost deliberate. The news of the lunar impact spread quickly through the control room, igniting a flurry of activity. Scientists, engineers, and mission specialists gathered in the main conference room, their faces illuminated by the glow of the projection screen that displayed the moon's distorted surface. "Ladies and gentlemen," began Dr. Martha Chen, the mission director, "we have detected an impact on the moon's surface. The coordinates indicate a location previously unmapped, and, if the readings are accurate, suggest that the object was not a typical meteoroid. It seems too structured." Murmurs of confusion and excitement coursed through the room. The staff knew that any deviation from the norm warranted careful examination. Evelyn raised her hand, her voice steady. "We need to analyze the composition of the impact site. If there's any sign of technology or organic matter, we could be looking at something beyond our understanding." Martha nodded, her expression serious. "I'm sending a request to the administration for a rapid response mission. We need to determine the nature of this impact and if there's anything else out there. We cannot risk the public panic if it's something extraterrestrial." Within hours, the news was officially released. Major news outlets were alerted, and soon the world was abuzz with speculation. Social media exploded with theories, each more sensational than the last. From alien spacecraft to secret lunar bases, the possibilities were endless, feeding the flames of fear and curiosity. As the hours turned into days, the world watched with bated breath. NASA launched a reconnaissance mission to the moon, employing the latest in robotic technology to gather data. The spacecraft, dubbed Lunar 1, was equipped with high-resolution cameras and advanced sensors designed to investigate the mysterious impact site. Dr. Carter was part of the mission team. She felt both exhilarated and terrified, caught in the crossfire of scientific discovery and the unknown. As Lunar 1 approached the moon, the tension was palpable among the crew. Initiating descent, the pilot, Captain Jake Reynolds, announced as the vessel broke through the moon's thin atmosphere. Evelyn watched intently as the surface grew larger on the monitors. The impact site came into view, a massive crater, jagged and deep, with peculiar patterns etched into the surrounding regolith. But what captured her attention were the shadows dancing along the crater's edge. "Do you see that?" she whispered to Tom, pointing at the screen. "Yeah, it looks unnatural," he replied, squinting at the image. "What do you think it is?" Evelyn shook her head. I don't know, but we need to get closer. This could be vital. As Lunar 1 hovered above the impact site, the cameras panned down, capturing the strange formations. The shadows flickered like the remnants of smoke, twisting and writhing in a way that defied natural explanation. It was as if someone, was moving just out of sight. Lunar 1 landed smoothly on the moon's surface, sending up a plume of fine dust that hung in the air like a ghostly veil. The robotic arms extended, ready to collect samples and analyze the surrounding area. Deploying the rover, Captain Reynolds announced, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of tension. The rover rolled out, its wheels crunching against the lunar regolith. Evelyn and Tom watched from the control room, captivated by the live feed. The rover navigated towards the impact site, its sensors scanning for any sign of life. What are we looking for? Tom asked, his brow furrowed. Anything? Organic material, technological remnants, or even radiation, Evelyn replied, her heart racing. We must be thorough. As the rover approached the crater, its camera zoomed in, revealing strange metallic shards scattered across the surface. The shapes were not natural. They resembled fragments of machinery. Bring it in closer, Evelyn instructed, her voice urgent. Suddenly, the feed flickered and the rover's lights dimmed. The image wavered, as if something had obscured the lens. A collective gasp filled the control room as the feed stabilized, revealing a figure, a shadowy silhouette standing at the edge of the crater, almost human in shape but with elongated limbs and an unsettlingly smooth surface. What the hell is that? Tom breathed, his eyes wide with fear. Get the rover back, now! Evelyn shouted, her pulse pounding in her ears. But before anyone could react, the figure shifted, its form dissipating into the shadows of the crater. The rover's systems began to malfunction, lights flashing erratically as the data feed sputtered and died. Panic erupted in the control room. Scientists scrambled to regain control of the rover, but it was too late. The last image transmitted was a chaotic blur of darkness, then static. The team stared at the screens, hearts racing, as the silence in the room stretched uncomfortably. Did we lose it? One engineer whispered, breaking the tension. Evelyn gritted her teeth, her mind racing. No, we can't lose this data. We need to establish communication with Lunar 1, and... The room was interrupted by a sharp ping from one of the consoles. A new transmission had come in, but it was not from the rover. Instead, it was a message from Lunar 1, filled with static and broken phrases that sent chills down Evelyn's spine. Unidentified. Life. No response. Retreat. What is happening? Martha exclaimed, her voice rising in panic. Can anyone explain this? Evelyn's mind whirled as she tried to process the implications. If they're encountering something dangerous, we need to pull them back immediately. This is no longer a standard mission. We could be dealing with a threat beyond our understanding. But as they prepared for the retreat, the screens around them flickered again, revealing something far more disturbing than the shadowy figure. An image of the moon's surface, the impact crater still fresh, now showed dozens of those figures emerging from the darkness. They moved with an eerie grace, their forms gliding effortlessly across the desolate landscape. Evelyn felt her stomach drop. We have to warn everyone. If these beings are hostile, we must prepare for the worst. Martha nodded, her face pale. I'll contact the higher-ups. We need to inform the government and the military. This is no longer just a scientific investigation. As Martha spoke, Evelyn's gaze remained glued to the screen. The figures were now fully visible, swirling around the impact site, their long limbs reaching out as if beckoning to the rover. The air felt charged with a palpable energy, and Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The lights in the control room flickered and a sense of foreboding descended like a heavy fog. The hum of machinery faded, replaced by an unsettling silence that made every hair on the back of her neck stand on end. "What's happening?" Tom asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Power fluctuations," Evelyn replied, though her heart raced with a deeper fear. "I don't think it's the equipment. It feels alive." Suddenly the screen went black. The power cut off completely, plunging the control room into darkness. Panic erupted as staff scrambled for flashlights and backup systems. "Get the backup generator running," Martha shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. In the dim light, Evelyn felt a creeping sense of dread settle over her. The silence that followed was deafening, filled only by the frantic sounds of her colleagues, trying to restore order. Then, from the depths of the darkness, a faint glow emerged, casting eerie shadows on the walls. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. "Look," someone gasped, pointing towards the source of the light. Evelyn squinted, her breath hitching in her throat. The glow intensified, illuminating a figure that seemed to materialize out of the darkness. It was tall and slender, with an elongated head and eyes that glowed with an otherworldly light. "Do not be afraid," it intoned, its voice resonating in her mind rather than through her ears. "We are here." Evelyn's heart raced, her instincts screaming at her to run, yet she felt rooted to the spot. The creature's presence was both terrifying and oddly calming, as if it were extending an invitation rather than a threat. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice shaking. The figure's eyes seemed to shimmer, and for a moment Evelyn felt an overwhelming rush of emotions: fear, curiosity, and a deep sense of loneliness. "We are the Watchers, the keepers of knowledge. You have awakened us from our slumber." "What do you want?" Tom demanded, stepping protectively in front of Evelyn. The creature's gaze shifted to him, and Evelyn noticed its form shimmer as if it were made of liquid light. "You seek the truth. We bring it, but the truth is not what you expect. You are not ready." "Ready for what?" Evelyn pressed, her heart pounding in her chest. "Your understanding is limited," the being replied. "Your world teeters on the brink. The impact you witnessed was not an accident. It was a call to awaken what has long been buried." Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. The implications of its words hung heavy in the air. What has been buried? And why us? The creature hesitated, its form wavering. "The answers lie within your history. The events of your past have summoned us. Your time is short. You must choose wisely." Suddenly, the lights flickered back on, and the control room erupted into chaos as people scrambled to regain control of the situation. The creature's glow dimmed, but its presence lingered, filling the space with an eerie tension. Martha re-entered the room, her face a mask of determination. "What just happened?" "Something, or someone, spoke to us," Evelyn said, still shaken. "They claim to be the Watchers. They warned us that we are not prepared for what lies ahead." Martha's eyes widened. "What do they mean by that?" Evelyn struggled to articulate her thoughts. "They said the impact wasn't an accident. They're implying that our past has brought them here, that there's something beneath the moon's surface." A chill swept through the room as they all processed the weight of her words. "We need to investigate further," Martha decided, her voice firm. "We can't back down now. We need to understand what's happening." As the team gathered around, Evelyn felt a sense of urgency rise within her. If they are right, we might be running out of time. We have to get to that impact site before it's too late. The next day, the team worked tirelessly to prepare for another mission. They reinforced Lunar 1 and upgraded its systems to handle unexpected encounters. Evelyn, fueled by an unshakable sense of dread, could not shake the feeling that whatever lay beneath the moon's surface was far more dangerous than they realized. When the time finally came to launch Lunar 1 back to the impact site, the atmosphere was tense. As the spacecraft lifted off, the crew held their breaths, each one aware that they were stepping into the unknown. Upon reaching the moon, the team carefully navigated the rover closer to the impact site. The landscape around the crater was desolate, marked by sharp shadows and an eerie silence that felt oppressive. "Deploying scanners," Tom announced as he worked the controls. Evelyn peered at the screens, her heart racing. The rover moved steadily towards the center of the crater, but as it approached, the readings became erratic. "Something is interfering with the signals," Tom reported, concern etched on his face. "Can we fix it?" Martha asked, her voice tight with anxiety. "Not without getting closer," Tom replied. "We need to see what's at the center of the impact site." As the rover drew nearer, the glow returned, pulsing softly. This time, it was accompanied by a low hum that vibrated through the moon's surface. "Are you getting this?" Evelyn asked, transfixed by the sight. "Yes, but I'm not sure what we're looking at," Tom said, his brow furrowing. "It looks like a structure." The rover's camera zoomed in, revealing a metallic surface that shimmered in the moonlight. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Smooth, intricate designs etched into the metal, almost like writing or symbols. "This could be monumental," Evelyn whispered, her excitement mingling with trepidation. "If this is alien technology, it could change everything we know about our place in the universe." "Or it could mean something far more sinister," Tom replied, his voice low. As they studied the structure, they noticed that the glow intensified, casting long shadows that danced around the edges of the crater. The hum grew louder, reverberating through the control room, setting everyone on edge. "Let's get a closer look," Martha urged. "Prepare for a ground scan." As they deployed the scanning devices, a surge of static erupted on the monitors, distorting the images. "We're losing the feed," someone shouted, panic rising. Evelyn felt a surge of dread as the glow shifted, forming into a distinct shape. The shadowy figures emerged once more, coalescing around the structure. "Shut it down, get the rover back," Martha ordered, but it was too late. The figures moved with a fluidity that defied logic, encircling the rover and obscuring its sensors. The control room plunged into darkness again as the lights flickered and the monitors went blank. Evelyn felt the tension in the air crackle and the hum reached a fever pitch. Then, silence. The absence of sound felt oppressive, like a weight pressing down on them. Evelyn and her colleagues exchanged anxious glances, each one grappling with the fear of the unknown. "Can anyone restore the systems?" Martha asked, her voice steady despite the chaos. Tom's fingers danced over the keyboard, but he shook his head. "It's no use, we're completely offline." "Wait!" Evelyn suddenly exclaimed. "Look!" The glow returned, brighter than before, cutting through the darkness. The figure was back, standing tall in the center of the control room, its form pulsating with a strange energy. "You seek answers," it intoned, its voice resonating in their minds once more. "But the truth comes at a cost." "What cost?" Evelyn demanded, stepping forward. "Your understanding," the being replied, its gaze piercing. "You are not prepared for the reality that lies ahead. The impact you witnessed was a fracture, a breaking of boundaries that must be mended." "Boundaries between what?" Tom asked, his voice tense. "Between worlds," the creature replied. "The awakening has begun, and you must choose, embrace the truth or face annihilation." Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. The weight of its words hung heavy in the air, and she could see fear reflected in the eyes of her colleagues. "What truth?" she pressed, desperation creeping into her voice. "The moon is a sentinel, a watchtower guarding the passage between realms. Your kind has tampered with forces beyond your comprehension, and now the balance is in jeopardy." "What does that mean?" Martha's voice broke through the tension. The being's form shimmered, revealing glimpses of the moon's history, visions of celestial battles, ancient civilizations, and the slow encroachment of humanity into forbidden territories. Long ago, a pact was made, the creature explained. Your ancestors, in their hubris, awakened powers that should have remained dormant. The impact was a warning, a signal that the time has come to restore the balance. Evelyn's mind raced as she processed the implications. What do we have to do? You must journey to the heart of the moon, to the source of the disturbance. There lies the key to your salvation, it said, its voice reverberating through her very being. And if we refuse? Tom asked, his voice trembling. Then darkness will consume your world. The choice is yours. As the being's presence faded, the control room returned to life, the lights flickering back on. But the atmosphere had shifted. A heavy silence settled over them as the weight of the creature's words sank in. As the being's presence faded, the control room returned to life, the lights flickering back on. But the atmosphere had shifted. A heavy silence settled over them as the weight of the creature's words sank in. What do we do? Martha asked, her voice barely a whisper. Evelyn felt a surge of determination. We have to go. We can't ignore this. If there's a chance to restore balance and save our world, we must take it. Tom nodded, his fear giving way to resolve. I'm in. We can't turn our backs on this. Martha took a deep breath, steeling herself. All right, I'll mobilize a team. We need to gather everything we can before heading to the impact site. As they prepared for their journey to the heart of the moon, a sense of purpose ignited within Evelyn. She felt as if she was on the precipice of something monumental, a chance to uncover the truth that lay buried beneath centuries of silence. But the nagging fear at the back of her mind persisted. What if the truth was more terrifying than she could imagine? The following days were a blur of activity. The team worked around the clock to prepare for the descent to the heart of the moon. They gathered equipment, analysed data, and formulated a plan to navigate the treacherous terrain that lay ahead. As they prepared for launch, the weight of the unknown settled over them like a shroud. Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a trap, but the urgency to discover the truth pushed her forward. On the day of the mission, the crew boarded Lunar 1, their hearts racing with anticipation and fear. The spacecraft rumbled to life, and as it ascended, Evelyn glanced out at the moon's surface, feeling the weight of the journey ahead. Preparing for descent, Captain Reynolds announced, as they approached the impact site once more. Evelyn's heart pounded in her chest as they entered the atmosphere. The landscape below was stark and desolate, illuminated by the pale light of distant stars. As they landed, a sense of foreboding washed over her. Deploying the rover, Tom said, his voice steady but laced with tension. As the rover navigated the rocky terrain, Evelyn's pulse quickened. They approached the glowing structure, its pulsating light beckoning them closer. Remember, we're here to uncover the truth, Martha reminded them as they disembarked. The air felt thick with anticipation as they stepped onto the moon's surface. The glow from the structure pulsed rhythmically, casting eerie shadows around them. As they approached the structure, Evelyn felt a sense of awe wash over her. The metallic surface shimmered, intricate designs etched into the material. It was both beautiful and terrifying, a testament to a civilization long gone. Let's set up the scanners, Martha instructed. They began to deploy their equipment, each second feeling like an eternity. The hum of machinery filled the air, merging with the low thrum of the structure's energy. Evelyn knelt beside the metallic surface, tracing her fingers along the strange symbols. What do you think it means? I don't know, Tom replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. But it feels significant. As they worked, a sudden tremor shook the ground beneath them. The glow intensified, pulsating with a blinding light that enveloped them. Get back, Martha shouted as they stumbled away from the structure. The light exploded outward, and Evelyn felt a wave of energy wash over her, filling her with an overwhelming sense of connection. Visions flooded her mind. Images of distant worlds, ancient civilizations, and the delicate balance that held everything together. Evelyn, Tom's voice broke through the haze, pulling her back to reality. As the light subsided, the figure reappeared, its form more defined than before. "You have come," it intoned, its voice echoing through the air. "But the time is short. The balance must be restored." "What do we need to do?" Evelyn asked, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "You must understand the nature of the fracture," the being replied. "Only then can you mend the bond between your world and ours." "What does that mean?" Tom pressed, fear creeping into his voice. "The awakening has begun, and you are the catalysts. Your choice will determine the fate of your kind." Evelyn's heart raced. "But how do we mend it?" "You must enter the heart of the structure and confront the echoes of your past. Only by facing the truth can you restore the balance." Martha stepped forward, determination etched on her face. "We're ready. We won't back down." The being extended its hand, revealing a swirling portal that shimmered with an otherworldly light. Step through and embrace the truth. Evelyn took a deep breath, exchanging glances with her colleagues. The weight of their decision hung heavy in the air, but there was no turning back. Together they stepped through the portal, and the world around them dissolved into light. When they emerged, they found themselves in a vast, ethereal landscape that shimmered with colors they had never seen. The air was thick with energy, and the ground pulsed beneath their feet. "What is this place?" Tom whispered, awestruck. "This is the realm of echoes," the being explained, its voice resonating through their minds. "Here you will confront the truth of your existence." As they ventured deeper into the landscape, visions flickered before their eyes. Memories of their ancestors, glimpses of the past, and the choices that had led to this moment. Evelyn saw her ancestors, standing before a massive structure similar to the one they had just left. They were performing rituals, invoking forces they could not comprehend. The air was thick with tension, and she could feel the weight of their decisions pressing down on her. "They awoke something," she murmured, realization dawning. "They thought they could control it," the being replied, its presence steadying her. "But the forces they unleashed were beyond their understanding." As they moved through the echoes, they witnessed the devastation that followed. A world torn apart by greed and ambition. A delicate balance, shattered. "We must stop this," Martha urged, her voice filled with determination. "We have to prevent history from repeating itself." The landscape shifted, and they found themselves standing before a colossal mirror that reflected their innermost fears and desires. "This is the moment of choice," the being said. "You must confront what lies within." Evelyn stepped forward, her heart racing. She gazed into the mirror and saw visions of herself, of success, failure, and the choices that defined her. "You are not alone in this," the being reassured. "Together, you can forge a new path." But as they stood there, shadows emerged from the edges of the mirror, dark figures representing their doubts and fears. They loomed larger, threatening to consume them. "Face them," the being urged. "Only by confronting the darkness can you find the light." Evelyn's heart raced as she fought back against the shadows, calling upon the strength of her friends. "We can do this together." Tom and Martha joined her, their voices mingling in a chorus of determination. The shadows writhed, pushing back against their collective will. The shadows lunged, threatening to pull them into the depths of despair. But Evelyn stood her ground, fueled by the bond they shared. "Remember who you are," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. With each word, they pushed back against the darkness, the mirror's surface shimmering as their combined strength resonated. The shadows recoiled, their forms dissipating into mist. "Together we can overcome," Tom shouted, his voice echoing through the landscape. With one final surge, they shattered the mirror, the shards scattering like stars across the ethereal realm. As the darkness receded, the being appeared once more, its form radiant and filled with light. You have faced the truth and emerged stronger. The balance has begun to restore. The landscape shifted once more, and they found themselves back at the structure on the moon's surface. The glow was steady now, the air calm and charged with energy. "What happened?" Martha asked, breathless. "You faced the echoes of your past and chose to mend the fracture," the being explained. "But the work is not done. The world still teeters on the brink." "What do we do now?" Evelyn asked, determination surging within her. "Return to your world and share the truth. You are the guardians now." As they stepped back through the portal, the weight of their decision settled upon them. They had glimpsed the truth, but the battle was far from over. Back at NASA, Evelyn stood in front of her colleagues, the weight of their experience heavy on her shoulders. The truth was terrifying, but it was also liberating. As they prepared to share their findings with the world, Evelyn felt a surge of hope. They were the guardians of a fragile balance, and it was their responsibility to protect it. But in the depths of space, the Watchers continued to observe, waiting for the day when the echoes would call once more.